I'm Deb with Innocent Gun, and you're watching Still Crazy After All These Beers.
Still Crazy After All These Beers is brought to you by our friends at Michelob, crafting a better beer. And Porta Pong, the world's #1 best-selling inflatable beer pong table at portapong.com.
Hey, welcome back to the Michelob Minute. This is Tara Nur, and we're here with Gary Rosen, sales manager for Blue Point Brewing in Patchogue, Long Island. Gary, as you know, a lot of times on Michelob Minute, we talk about women in beer. Your job is to promote your beer. How do you promote beer to women specifically?
Well, YP is sitting down. But with the craft beer industry exploding the way that it does, we're finding that everybody is finding a palate for good quality craft beer. We're eco-friendly. We leave the toilet seat down, and you know, everybody loves a good beer.
So you're kind of known around town for your hijinks, per se, when it comes to being at a festival. You kind of rally up the crowd. Are there certain things you do to bring women over to the tent versus men?
Well, you know, it just somehow seems that when the festival begins, my mouth starts going, and I don't know what flies out of it, and I just want everybody to feel welcome. And, you know, we're all here to have a good time. We're all here to enjoy really, really good beer. And I think that's the bottom line, having a good time, drinking phenomenal craft beer.
Do you have any kind of different messaging that you use? Nope. We're all equal here, yeah? That sounds like a good place to wrap, yeah.
Sorry.
Everyone, drink Blue Point.
Drink Blue Point.
This is Tara Nurin, Michelob Minute. Thank you.
And welcome to this week's edition of Still Crazy After All These Beers. I'm walking through this hall in Philadelphia, and I take a look, and I'm looking at this woman, thinking to myself, is it who I think it is? I know her. One person I've been dying to meet, I've chatted with you by phone, by email, and so on, Celeste Beatty from Harlem Brewing, and it was you, and it is you, and it's so happy to finally meet you face to face.
Well, good to see you again, Gary.
And I got to tell you, this beer, tell us what the name of this beer is again.
The name of the beer is Sugar Hill Golden Ale.
And it most certainly is.
The crowd really loves it today.
We're good. We're rolling here, and everything's cool. The crowd's having a good time. I got to tell you, this is a remarkable beer.
Well, thank you very much. But the beer does have a wonderful history. Harlem being the place that we pay tribute to, and Sugar Hill, which is a wonderful community located between 141st Street and 155th Street between Amsterdam and Edgecombe Avenue. And there you had a lot of jazz greats, a lot of wonderful musicians, a lot of wonderful writers, politicians, and just a wonderful community in this place that Duke Ellington or Billy Strayhorn suggested that we take the A train up to Sugar Hill to have a great Sugar Hill beer, but also to hear a lot of great music and get to know a lot of great people that had a wonderful culture that's still there today.
And in terms of the beer, how did this particular beer, which is, again is your Sugar Hill Golden Ale, how did this particular, let's say, recipe come about?
It came about because I love cooking with beers, and I was making a lot of different beer recipes and drinking a few cold ones of various types of beers, you know, the Brooklyn brands, Sierra Nevada, Anchor Steam, all these great American beers, Saranac in New York, and I cook a lot with beer. So anyway, the way it came about is that some friends saw that I was cooking with a lot of other beers and said, you know, you can make your own beer. At the time, I was in a small studio apartment in Harlem, not quite in Sugar Hill, but nearby. And I started experimenting with small 5- and 10-gallon batches. And I learned that my passion for cooking was so closely connected with brewing. You know, you put the water in, you put the barley in, you add the hops, you add the yeast, and then you kind of wait a while. That's the only difference.
There are a lot of parallels.
Yeah, there are a lot of parallels. And the thing that's most significant for me in brewing specialty craft beers is that with the type of cooking I grew up on, which is primarily Southern soul food, there's a lot of ingredients, spices, a lot of craftiness and creativity that goes into the food. And with beer, specialty beer, craft beers, there's so many similarities with the care and time and craftiness, ingredients that you really pay close attention to with specialty beers, so relates to the food that I grew up eating. So that was just a wonderful thing, and I was like, wow, I can do this. Waiting a while to drink it was kind of took a little bit of patience, but everything else was very in line.
I got to tell you, as I'm trying this beer, this beautiful golden ale, it's a very, I'm gonna have to say, a very food-friendly beer. I can't think of anything I really wouldn't match with this.
I agree. That's why, although I do believe in beer pairings, I'm working on a beer dinner right now at Sylvia's restaurant in Harlem, where we're just going to be only using Sugar Hill beer to infuse into their various, soul food recipes, ribs, chicken, fish. We even have a line of beer cocktails that are kind of like a shandy, where we mix in a lot of different juices and stuff, and a beer tea. I mean, we're just getting crazy with Sugar Hill, and we're not into the pairing of the beer with their food so much as we are in the infusion of it. So I'm more a big person into infusing the beer, because beer is so great for tenderizing, chicken and various meats. So that's sort of the emphasis that we're focused on at Sylvia's, is really the infusion of the Sugar Hill and bringing out the character of the hops and barley into some of their famous recipes.
Let's get into distribution.
Yes.
And if people are interested in this beer, and I definitely recommend you go out and try to find this beer.
Yes.
Where can we find Sugar Hill?
Well, right now we're in New York City, thanks to Manhattan Beer Distributing. They've gotten us into a lot of different accounts, and we've been out there, feet on the street, driving the brand into places like Whole Foods and Fairways, and we're even at the Guggenheim Museum in the Wright Bar. We're at the Metropolitan Museum. We're at Lenox Lounge in Harlem. We're at Sylvia's Restaurants. We're at Beercraft in Brooklyn. And we're not everywhere, but it is kind of a discovery brand in that you have to kind of discover it in places, because we're not everywhere. But we just branched out into New Jersey. We're coming to Philadelphia. Hopefully we'll be working with Bella Vista Beverages.
Oh, good.
We're in D.C., we're in Maryland, we're in South Carolina, we're going to Virginia, we're going to Massachusetts. So we're in a few...
Have I heard Jersey yet?
New Jersey, yes, New Jersey. We're definitely New Jersey.
Okay.
And we aren't everywhere, but the way that we've grown the brand is really from a phone call or an email from someone that might have tried it in New York. So you know what, we need the beer here. We're even getting calls from people in France and England and places like that. So it's been very organic. I have a strategic business plan, but I so don't stick to it, because with the economy the way it is and all the you just can't depend on business plans. You have to kind of listen to the people and what they're saying. So if one person's asked for the beer in the state, I don't really necessarily think that's something we should ignore. So we've sort of grown based on, people asking for it in the different places, and that's how we've gotten out here.
Now, you and I came in contact with one another, as you remember,
yes.
Probably a couple of years ago, I guess. I was asked to do an article on your company, and so we met via email and phone calls. And that's how the whole genesis came about. And, at the time you had mentioned, you kind of hinted on this right now, that not only are we talking about distribution of the beer throughout the, let's say, Mid-Atlantic region, but you are exploring the possibility of taking this elsewhere as well. And that's a major undertaking.
It is a major undertaking.
We got a young gal in here. Come on in here for a second, baby.
This is Erlima.
And you are?
I'm Erlima Owens, and I am the biggest fan of Sugar Hill beer. I mean, she can drag me across the world. As long as I can drink Sugar Hill, I am happy.
You are the star of the show today. I want you to know that, sweet.
Well, listen, there's nothing like Sugar Hill, ever. You can make a pina colada, a margarita, a daiquiri, a Bloody Mary, and put Sugar Hill in it. Oh, my God. You are just going to be like, hey, listen, I got to serve people. I'll talk to y'all later.
We got some thirsty customers over here in Philadelphia. They want to try some Sugar Hill Golden Ale.
Serve the people.
Serve the people.
Yes. You were talking about...
We're talking about overseas, possibly.
I'm out. I'm done.
we're blowing through the Sugar Hill Golden Ale. People are just absolutely taking over.
Remember when we were in Atlantic City? Sugar Hill is the first beer to go. I mean, it is the first. Everybody loves it. I mean, well, listen, I love it.
She's great.
Oh, she's great.
She's great. So yeah, we did send some beer to China during the Olympics. And that wasn't because I was trying to get into China, but it just happens that a young man, John Wong, he was very, very heavy about promoting brands that are made in America to China as opposed to just bringing stuff from China. And he took our beer there and the people loved it. But we've got to work out some particulars. I mean, there's trademark things that we have to make sure are in place. And
as easy as it may seem.
It's not as easy as it may seem, but we have identified a brewery right outside of Beijing that's interested in brewing our recipe for the Chinese market, not to bring back here. Brewing, because there's such a wonderful growing, I guess they define it as a middle class or people in China that want to explore things outside of China. So it's an interesting opportunity. We'll see what happens.
If there are people at home that want to look at your website, do you know the website?
Yes, here it is. Can you get a close-up on that? HarlemBrewingCompany.com.
HarlemBrewingCompany.com. That's how we can find you, right?
That's how you can find us. And Facebook.com/Harlem Brew.
And you're one of my Facebook friends, too.
And we are dear friends on Facebook.
We are friends on Facebook. We're friends outside of Facebook. And I'll tell you what, it is a thrill for me to finally meet you in person.
And I am so happy to be here with great beer and a great guy. He's
you're sweet.
Wonderful.
Celeste.
Here in Philadelphia. Thank you, Philly.
Thank you.
Philly.
Harlem Brewing. We'll see you next time on Still Crazy After All These Beers. Cheers.
I am still crazy.
See you next time.